Here's a question, another question from Carl. Do you know if a major in photography is required to work for places like National Geographic? I don't know specifically, but I would say probably 99.9% not. On places that, when I started coming to New York and taking my photos around in magazines and that sort of thing, I've been doing this over 20 years, and I don't think anyone has ever asked me if I have a degree in photography. I'm not saying don't go to school. If you're in school, stay in school. But they want to see your work. They want to see your photographs. They want to see. If they send you out on assignment and give you X thousands of dollars, and you come back with the shots. If you come back with brilliant shots, you can be a high school dropout. They won't care. Let me go to another question from Tommy. I'm having trouble getting sharp images with zoom lenses, 100 to 400 millimeter, 70 to 200. What's the best approach? Autofocus or manual, etc. That depends on what you're shooting. It depends on the, for instance, the movement, how much the subject is moving, that sort of thing. When you're getting into a very long lens, the 100 or 400, a tripod is pretty much absolutely a must. One of the other gadgets that we use, it's just got like a beanbag kind of bag. This one has a tripod mount on it. You just stick this in like the between branches of a tree, or stick it on a rock, mount the camera on it, holds the camera in place without having to lug a tripod. This is filled with like plastic pellets, but you can empty it out, take it with you on location, and fill the bag with rocks, sand, whatever, so you're not hauling that extra weight. That's very helpful. A lot of photographers, anytime you're getting into a big lens, and we're talking anything over like a 200, qualifies as a long sort of lens. You're going to get camera shake. Of course, the IS, vibration reduction, optical image stabilization of lenses helps, but the best case scenario is faster shutter speeds, which cut down on the motion, very solid base on the camera, either tripod or bag or something. And if you are having trouble with the focus, obviously check things like the little diopter in the camera. Make sure that's not bumped. Things get bumped on cameras all the time. This way, pro photographers have tape all over the cameras. The cameras look like they're falling apart, but they're just taped up so we don't bump things accidentally. An alternate shot of the crab from Wolfgang Paller. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, these are in the Galapagos. And here he's got like a wide shot. He's a close-up on the crab. He's using a bit wider lens here, and you got some nice water in the background, the beach, the sky, and that sort of thing, as opposed to this. Both very credible, interesting photographs, but this also gives you a little of the environment, which is kind of nice. Instead of just a photo of the crab, we've got this shot, and this is a very, very nice shot in and of itself. That contrasting orange color of the crab against that blue sky makes a really beautiful kind of jump. Let me go to another question. Which lighting works best for macro shots? This is a question from Dana. This kind of depends. It depends on what you're shooting. If you're shooting macro shots of flowers, that sort of thing, you can get in with like flash reflectors and stuff like that. If you're shooting animals, the more stuff you put in there, the more they're going to be spooked, the more they're going to go away. Oftentimes with animals, you're better off with a little bit longer lens. If you have a long macro, like a short macro, like a 50 or 60 macro, won't get you in. It'll get you a macro shot, but you got to get in closer to get it. So if you got a longer macro, that's helpful. So excuse me. In terms of lighting, it depends what you're shooting. If you're dappled light or something like that. Okay, let me wrap up. We got a couple minutes left here. Another photo from Wolfgang Paller, a great shot of a gecko. Obviously, it's melding into the background here. Really spectacular. And another one of Wolfgang's shots, a little chameleon. These are actually this shot and this shot are in Madagascar. Another one of Wolfgang's locations that he's traveled to. Did use flash when taking shots at the Central Park Zoo. The two you're talking about, the snow leopard and the penguin, are shot without flash. That's I was using a pretty fast lens, very wide, 2.8 aperture, and in around 800 ISO, so no flash. here we've got a question. Can we share wildlife photos of our own for you to critique? Yeah, we're kind of working on that. We want to set up a system at DPA so where people will submit photos. The best case now, as we sit, is to continue to submit your photos for the webinars. Obviously, you get a critique if we choose your photos. But we are sort of, we get a lot of people asking that. We're going to set up a system where students can send in 10 of their photos for an online critique or something like that. But that's coming. Are these shots handheld or tripod? It depends on the shot. For instance, this shot, I'm guessing are probably handheld. It's again, it depends. Obviously not on this one. This is from a helicopter or a plane or something, so this is handheld. A lot of these are handheld, but a lot of the shots you saw earlier were the very long lenses. Anytime you get up, longer than a 150 or a 200 millimeter lens, you really kind of need a tripod. By virtue of the fact that the lens is extended that much, every little motion is accentuated. Every little error is magnified. So you really got to make that tripod a pretty solid rock. So this is our closing shot. We have another nice shot from Wolfgang. We obviously have a lot of submissions from Wolfgang because he's traveled all around the world, and a lot of his library is sort of adventure, travel, location photography, exotic locations where you're going to find some pretty exotic animals like this glass frog. I assume the name comes from it's sort of like glass, translucent, that sort of thing. Pretty cool little animal. What's the best way to use Photoshop to simulate selective focus? Sorry, I think that says Brett. Honestly, I'm not even going to get into that. There's a number of ways to do that. If you're familiar with Photoshop, Photoshop is an immense program. There's a lot of different things. I mean, you can use just something blunt like the blur tool, that sort of thing, or you can start getting in selecting backgrounds and layers and blurring those in their entirety. That's quite honestly, I got 3 minutes left, and that's a much more complex question than I could even get into. And to understand some of these things, I'd have to do a little bit of a demo. I think your best bet is to sign up for one of the Nick Photoshop classes. They're free, as I said, in the next couple of months, that sort of thing. In addition, if you don't have time, if your schedule doesn't match that, obviously DPA has Nick Photoshop classes every month, 24 cities across the country. Let me see if we had any questions. If I missed any questions here. No, I think we're good. So, good night. Thank you for joining us. Got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to pull up. The next webinar is Tuesday, May 18th. The topic is photography of flowers, foliage, plants that flower, blooming plants, that sort of thing. Anything to do with flowers. As you've seen, my parameters for what a flower is are kind of a little bit wide in that you saw tonight my parameters for what an animal is. So I'm willing to look at anything. Submit your flora photos to info@digitalphotoacademy.com. What I would request is anyone who's interested in submitting photos, go to DPA, the website digitalphotoacademy.com, and there's a drop-down menu for webinar tips. In every one of those webinar tips at the bottom, it gives you specs for submitting your photos. These are fairly specific. The reason being, if I magnify a photo, like here, we've got good detail. We can look at it. If I get a file that's too small, I've got to blow it up, size it, that sort of thing. We can't magnify it. The detail's pretty much lost. Also, you can imagine the number of photos we get. I mean, I got, I think, 50 emails in the past day and a half of people submitting images. I'm going through all this. Please read the directions in terms of naming your files. I don't know how many files I get. Image 1, image 2. I don't want to miscredit anyone. Give somebody, if I show somebody a great photo of somebody's, I don't want to attribute it to somebody else. So please just take a moment and look online. The specs are all there.